Fit for Life Radio, episode number 122. Your host, I'm Gary.
And I'm Will.
And we're with you here this week.
We're with you.
We're with you.
We're with you.
And Will just got back from vacay. Or you went to a wedding?
Yeah, it was still, we'll call it a vacay.
Yeah.
Because we did a lot more stuff.
And while he was gone, he got wiped up.
Wifed up.
He got engaged.
I didn't get married at a chapel in Vegas, but we did get engaged. We did have a small discussion about that.
And if you don't follow Will on the socials, you didn't see his perfectly planned proposal.
It was perfect. It was like the most perfectly planned on the whim events.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was planned, but like very briefly.
The one thing we have to go over, because it's what everyone thought they knew.
Yeah.
So you and Whitney, y'all's thing is like getting coffee almost every weekend, trying out all these different coffee shops.
Always.
So when Will proposed, it was like in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And, some rocky terrain. And then evidently, right in the background of where he proposed and he had like a camera set up, there was a big mountain thingy, and it is shaped like a coffee pot, and it's called Coffee Pot Rock. And
that was like the best coincidence. But when I realized that it was called Coffee Pot Rock, I was like, I gotta do it. Yeah. But I didn't know it existed until like that day when we were looking for places to hike, and we ended up not being able to hike somewhere else and just made our way there.
See, I was like, it all makes sense now. I was like,
I've been planning this for years.
He planned this out 3 years ago. He got his friend to get engaged and married so that he could say, hey, let's go to this wedding in Arizona, but really, you knew it was near Coffee
Pot Rock. I wish that I was that big of a mastermind.
That'd be something.
That'd have been. Actually, I should probably be pissed if that was the whole plan. But yeah, so Coffee Pot Rock, it was awesome.
The other best thing was, you do this, drop down on the knee, she turns around, you're proposing, and then you and her, this was my favorite part, just start laughing in each other's faces.
It was the best, man.
Like cackling.
It was a genuine moment. It was so perfect. Because she said, holy shit. That was her reaction, and that made the whole thing.
That's real romance.
It is.
That's how you know you got it if you have a real romantic moment. No, neither of you can take it serious, and you just start laughing. Like we'll see stuff on TV, watching all these like wedding dating shows.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what if I looked you dead in the eye and said something like that? Like
she would laugh in your face, man. 100%. Same.
Oh.
Nah, it was good. It was a good moment.
So.
Now you guys are caught up on our current events. Where my life is at.
Yeah.
Here we are. Back to the real world.
No engagements for me.
No engagements for Gary.
I'd
be worried if there was. Come back and your whole life has changed. Oh, Lordy.
When you pulled up to podcast, I thought you were going to pull up in a minivan.
A couple kids.
Yeah, a couple kids. Like real frustrated. Like, come on. Come on, Chad.
Chad.
And he's on his phone. He gets out. He's just staring at his phone,
Got his headphones on.
While he walks.
I think that's how it is. That's how most kids are now. Oh, Lordy.
All right, today we're going to talk about, rap about. And I'll say we've all been guilty of this at one point.
Yeah, so we're not throwing stones.
But, when you're on Instagram enough, you see a lot of things, and one of them is just the problem with most exercise programs.
Yeah.
Right? And this is even trainers.
Whole gym.
Most trainers you hire hold gym programs, and that is that the fitness industry is a transaction for fatigue.
Yeah.
And that goes back to, 20, 30 years ago, in that, most time people, when we pay for something, then we expect this like thing in return, right? We almost need a sensation. And when you look at a lot of stuff, right? Toothpaste, right? The active ingredients in toothpaste are like you would never feel them, right? But then they put in minty stuff and tingly stuff so that, while you're brushing.
So there's a immediate
sensation. You're like, this is working. Same thing for lots of supplements, right? You could take a lot of pre-workout supplements, and we know over time the real only proven main ingredient is creatine.
Yeah, and then caffeine, but
right. But caffeine gives you the mental thing. But then they'll throw other things in that make you tingly,
like beta alanine.
Yeah, niacin.
And that's if you've ever felt like that tingly, like flushed skin feeling, and for some people it's intense and almost feels like your skin's crawling. That gives you that immediate rush of like, okay, this pre-workout's doing something. Yeah, and it's more immediate than like, oh, this creatine did its job over the course of 5 years and you never really felt it. Mm-hmm. That's not how people want to feel.
Yeah, and so it almost probably started from a place of fear. I know it did for me when I was a young trainer, and you're like, these people need to leave feeling really tired.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, leave feeling like they got their money's worth, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it's hard not to start in that place, though.
So it ends up being like, the consumer's expectation is, I'm going to be really tired. Here's my money. Boom. The problem with that is we have, which we've talked about before, this like recovery bucket and fatigue bucket, and too much training can inhibit our actual recovery. It's actually less effective
to train too much.
And then if you're someone who you have a stressful job and family and other responsibilities, you need to monitor that, right? And yeah, most people just let me make you as tired as possible. There, we did our job, right?
Because I think people feel, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they conquered something.
Yeah.
If they're super tired after a workout, like, oh, I did it. Like I did something hard. And I understand that feeling too of like people want to feel accomplished.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for. And that gives them that check mark of like, I did good because I can feel how tired I am.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy that people kind of gravitate towards that. It's really not. But it's not what we should be pushing people towards.
Yep. And here's the thing. Fatigue is also the easiest thing to program for.
Yeah.
Because you can just you can just say, hey, do 30 burpees, run around the building twice, come back in, 30 more burpees, repeat, and anyone is going to get really tired.
All of us are going to be tired from that.
But all that it will be is fatigue.
Yeah.
Right? What if now someone, after 5 burpees, they get so exhausted that they lose their form.
And they can't do good burpees anymore.
Yeah, but they keep doing them for an hour. So you're now reinforcing poor movement and maybe even something that the person shouldn't even be doing, right?
Yeah, now they're in a very fatigued state doing something they have no business doing, and that's a recipe for getting injured.
Yep. And the other thing is, people tie to like tons of fatigue, tons of soreness, all this, that means a good workout, when the reality is most of the time it actually means you probably did too much.
Yeah.
Right? We only need a little bit of, to make progress, like a little bit beyond what we're capable of. And just massive levels of trying to make someone as tired as possible is less effective.
Absolutely.
The only thing it's good for is, to do some of it in the program, is mental toughness.
Which it's an important part of programming because it is good to be able to mentally push through things that are difficult.
Yep.
But all of your workouts should not be that type of workout.
And you have to train for it. It is a thing that should be in programs, but it also really only if you are going to be competing, right? Because you do need to train mental toughness, because when you get into competition, yes, you are going to get very fatigued. You are going to push your limits.
You got to be able to go through that.
And boundaries. Exactly. But the thing is, training should not and is not competition.
No.
You can't do that every day.
Nope.
So when you go every day, you're making your workout like competition, you're going to burn out, and you're not getting better, right? When you look at even people who are athletes, they train looking for small incremental improvements with strength, with conditioning, with skill work, with everything.
Imagine if somebody in the NFL, like they played a game every day expecting to get better.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if they're playing a game every day? They're going to get injured, they're going to get burned out, and they're going to have a very, very short career. And that's how we need to approach training as well.
So isn't it crazy? And we're talking to athletes that
Yeah.
then regular, everyday, general population, lifestyle-oriented goals.
Who just want to feel better and look better.
You have these programs and trainers out here training people like they're competing every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think we forget too, because we see people on Instagram and Facebook, and that a lot of those people, like, that's their whole job.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have as much stuff in their bucket as you do for the most part. When your whole job is fitness, you can make it a priority. You can, orient your entire life around it. But when you're just like an average person who has kids and a full-time job that they may not like very much, like, your bucket's already way more full than the 25-year-old who has zero things to worry about.
Yep. And the ironic thing is, in 17 years, I've never had a prospective client, where their goal, where they sit down and like, I want to be completely exhausted.
Yeah.
It's always,
never a goal.
Hey, I want to get out of pain. I want to lose body fat. I want to have more energy. I want to reduce stress. Guess what? Training, train insane, chasing fatigue is none of those things.
No.
That's not how you line up anything. And now here's the catch, right? To train for those things, to have a good training program, it takes more effort.
It's hard.
And thought to go into the programming to actually achieve those things. And then you have to have more delayed gratification, right? Because the reality is, if you want to get out of pain, okay, normally pain comes from poor movement or being incapable of certain movements that you then try to force. So extreme fatigue, there's no place for that.
No.
Because you get those endorphins flowing. Now you're actually blocking your ability to pay attention, to keep good form, and then you're going to be, again, practicing in proper form because that's what you're going to resort to. So you need to slow down. You need to focus more. You need to have more rest. You need less fatigue if you want to get out of pain. Lose body fat, nutrition, and then staying healthy with your training, being able to get stronger, build muscle, which requires, again, rest and focus. And too much fatigue is going to cause more stress, and it's also going to drive our appetite up. Yeah. So more stress, higher appetite, those make it harder.
Yeah, then you're just putting up a wall against yourself.
Yeah, for the goal of losing fat. You're making it harder. Then you have like more energy, reduced stress. So general goals, same thing. If you kind of cross this threshold and go into this super fatiguing state, you cross over where you can actually get energy. You feel more energetic after workout. So you're going to feel completely exhausted and you have to lay around more the rest of the day. You're not going to be able to fully recover, and it just becomes this snowball
and then
effect.
your daily movement goes down. Like, we've talked about NEAT a bunch. When you're completely wrecked from training, like, your NEAT is going to go way down. And that's a big, big factor in losing weight for a lot of people and just general health. So that's a whole nother thing to consider, is that you should feel, not that you should feel like, completely amazing, like a ray of sunshine when you're done just lifting weights. You should feel good, though. Like, you should feel pretty good.
If you know me, you know I'm always on the run, up early and home late. So having a 3-hour morning routine isn't really in the cards for me. What is in the cards is AG1. It's a fast way to get vitamins and minerals I need to perform. I first gave AG1 a try because I wanted a single solution that helps support my entire body by filling in nutrient gaps and simplifying my morning routine. Since drinking AG1 daily, I've always felt strong and energized and ready to attack the day. Not only does AG1 deliver my daily dose of vitamins, minerals, pre- and probiotics, and more, it's a powerful, healthy habit that's also powerfully simple. It's 1 scoop mixed in water once a day and every day. I know that AG1 is giving my body high-quality nutrition. Every batch of AG1 goes through a rigorous testing process, so you know that it's safe. And AG1 ingredients are sourced for absorption, potency, and nutrition density. AG1 is a supplement that I trust to provide the support my body needs daily, and that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. Here is your chance to start every day this season with a gift to yourself. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/provengrit. That's drinkag1.com/provengrit. Check it out.
And, energize for the rest of your day.
You have to reframe what your expectations are.
That is the most important thing.
If you expect to feel exhausted and that's what you judge it by, then, yeah, you're going to be disappointed. If you expect to feel more energy and like you could have done more, you want to leave feeling like you better than you came in, then when you actually feel that way, you start to kind of change your reward circuit, right?
Yeah.
And appreciate that and know what to look for. And then you don't need to rely on, I have to feel completely exhausted. When you truly trust the process and know that for most goals, again, it definitely can have its time and place. Maybe, for once a week for mental toughness or for entertainment, or if you're someone competing in a sport, then you definitely need to train those elements in the right amounts. But yet, so for most people, if every workout can't be some knockdown, drag out, exhaustion fest, you need to focus on resting more, better focus, more than likely more resistance training, and reinforcing proper movement instead of sloppy movement. And those are the things you want to focus on. Not trying to get as tired as possible, not trying to get as out of breath as possible. Yeah. Better workouts. That's ultimately what we're after.
And like we said before, like that's harder to do. It's harder to program for. Mm-hmm. You could probably get anybody off the street to program a workout that makes you tired. Yep. You could do basically anything, as long as your heart rate gets up and you're doing hard stuff.
Yeah, and you take no rest between stuff.
Yeah. So if you'll see trainers that kind of pride themselves on like beating the crap out of people with their workouts. Like that's really, you're not good at your job. Yeah, is what it is.
If you go in and the first workout at a place just makes you extremely, extremely exhausted, and then every workout thereafter is basically piling on top of that, then that is actually lazy programming, lazy
Super
coaching.
Lazy.
And
I think, like you said when we first started out, because I felt the same way, like it's almost operating out of a place of fear of like, I have to do this because this person has to feel this way.
Yeah. It's truly operating out of, I believe fitness is a transactional thing for fatigue and exhaustion.
And that's it. And that's where the buck stops with a lot of people.
Yep.
And for us, I'll give an example of our gym. Whenever people start at the gym, we always set the expectation that your first week at the gym, or even first couple weeks,
go through the motions.
Go through the motions, get used to the movements, because really no matter what, people are going to be sore. Unless they, train 4 days a week coming into our program. Like, you are going to be sore no matter what, because you haven't done these movements either ever in your life or it's been a while. So get used to, how the movements work, how the classes work, how we coach, all of that stuff. And then they're starting nice and slow. Mm-hmm. But if their expectation is they're going to come in and get the crap beat out of them, that's what they think they need to do. And that's not what we want for people anyways. So making sure that people understand that, like, this is how we do things and this is what we expect from you, it makes it a lot easier for them.
Yep.
And it takes the pressure off, I think, because people start and they're like, okay, well, I just have to get used to all of this. There's no pressure to go as heavy or as hard as possible. And we tell people, like, we don't want you to feel like you're having to crawl out of here. And for that reason, I think people are a little more calm about that.
Yep. And and then some people are going to like more higher intensity stuff. And then that's where you have to, balance with your frequency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at pro sports. You mentioned, look at football. Football is as high intensity as it gets.
Yes.
They play 17 games a year. And when they are playing, it's once a week. Mm-hmm. So once a week and 17 weeks out of the year. Because the intensity is so high. Look at baseball, the most low intensity sport, right? They can play 167 whatever games a year, and it's like, and for like half the year, and that's because it's way lower intensity. They're able to do it more often. So same thing with your workout program. If you're someone who likes to train at the highest intensity, you need to have a lot lower frequency, or a definitely lower frequency of those high intensity type workouts. If you like to train high frequency all the time, you need to lower your intensity.
Yeah,
you know,
and it can work though. Like there's a lady at the gym, and I won't say who it is, but she's been training with us for a long time, and she does a very good job of moderating her intensity. And she comes to the gym like 6 days a week. And if you're listening to this, you probably, and you know her, you know who it is. But she does a very good job of that. And, her intensity isn't crazy high during the workouts, but that's fine because she likes the frequency of it. She likes to do something every day, and it works very well for her. Whereas someone like us, like we do, not that we do a lot of high intensity, like cardio stuff, but generally, like we train pretty hard in our strength training stuff. So we're only going like 3 days a week, and then we walk outside of that, because we do prefer, and I know we've tried, 4, 5, 6 day splits, and I know they're not for you, and they're not for me either. Like I kind of burn out on that high frequency stuff. So because I like to keep it a little more intense on my strength days, like I do need the days off. Yeah. To not, to recover properly.
Yep. And that's the way we program at Coastal Strength and Fitness is, most of our clients want to feel better, move better, get out of pain, lose body fat. So there's balance in the workouts, right? We have strength portions where you're resting a couple of minutes and you're focused on your form, and we'll sprinkle in little finishers and cardio segments. But the goal's not to, from the time you walk in the door to the time you leave, to just get you as exhausted as possible nonstop. And more places are getting better at programming, and you're seeing, as people care more about stress and mental health, that they're learning to balance these things, and things like meditation and yoga are more popular. So, people are catching on and kind of, but there's still, it blows my mind how many, just kind of like how much junk there is.
There's a lot of junk.
And I get it, like you said, a fear-based thing from the fitness industry side of like,
we have to provide this or people won't show up.
Yeah, exactly. But, we started 8 years ago now.
And we were more geared towards that when we started, I feel like. But we've evolved because of, what we truly believe works and what is best for people. And we've changed towards that. And we're just confident in it, too. Like, I'm very confident in how we program and how we coach, and that it is the best for people. And that it might be different than what people, normally expect. But no one's, someone's got to change how people think about training, and that's our job. Yeah.
And then you may wonder, well, what should you look for? And again, it really comes down to a balance. And getting enjoyment and entertainment out of your training for some people is important. That's fine. But again, it can't be every workout, right? So, or entire workouts. So if you're someone who does train more frequently, you could have 3 or 4 strength days a week and 1 or 2 high intensity conditioning type circuit workouts. Or you could be someone who, likes to train 2, 3, 4 days a week and kind of have all of it within your workout. But same thing. If you worked out 6 days a week and you had 4 strength days and 2 high intensity days, that's what, like a third, And if you broke it down by time, those circuits really say they're like 20 to 30 minutes each. So that's an hour. And then your 3 or 4 strength days is like 3 or 4 hours, right? So it's like 20, 25%, So you can think similar to 80-20, the 80-20 rule people have always mentioned for like everything. So same thing. Then, or you could have 2, 3, or 4 workouts where, you have like your strength stuff and then like a little cardio, to kind of get that peak intensity for a little bit. So if your workout's an hour, you may have 40-ish minutes of strength work and then like a little 10, 15-minute finisher, or 45-minute workout. You'll have like 35 minutes of strength,
10 minutes of a
little 5-10 minute finisher. So and you'll then find, I don't need to do that for 45 minutes and completely wipe myself out. You can just reach those peak heart rates and peak moments in a little bit, kind of get the same endorphins and feeling, but in an actual dose that you're able to recover from and benefit from. If you say obviously that when you do these exhausting workouts, you are working your conditioning and pushing it, but you're pushing it to a place where you may not be able to actually recover and get the actual physical
the benefit out of it.
Adaptions.
Yeah. Because that's another thing that we have to remember is that training is a stress that you adapt to.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. If you want to break it down as simple as possible. So if you can't adapt because the stress is almost too much, then you're not getting any better. You're not getting stronger. Your conditioning's not improving. None of that. So you have to have enough that you can actually recover, but not too much.
Yeah.
Or not too little, but we're talking too much right now.
And a good visual is like if you're digging a hole. So if your workout digs, so imagine you're standing on your baseline, your level of flat ground, and then you dig this hole, and then rest, recovery, all that, you're able to fill the hole back in, and then it actually fills in a little higher, right? So now your baseline's higher. And then over time, you dig these little holes, refill, rebuild. So over time,
the ground gets higher.
Yeah, your baseline fitness level, strength, conditioning, all these things are improving. Now, if you dig too big of a hole, I don't know why I'm showing you with my hands like they can see. If you dig too big a hole and you're not able to actually fill it back in, then another big hole, and you can only get it filled in a little. Now you're actually just digging and digging and digging a deeper hole, and your baseline is actually lowering, or barely getting back to where it was. And over time, it's just you burn out.
Yeah. And if you've ever felt that like you're training really hard, and then you start to lose motivation, and you feel like you're not you're not getting any progress, and mentally you're just not really there. That's what's generally happening is that you're just doing too much. You're not able to recover from whatever it is you're doing. And then just know all of our abilities to recover are different.
Yeah.
So if your friend can do 6 days a week and recover from it, well, that's great. But you might not be able to.
Because what does your sleep look like? What does your nutrition look like?
So we have to, look inward and kind of realize what we ourselves can handle and not compare it to anybody else. Mm-hmm. Because it is going to be different across the board. What everyone can, and at different times in your life. Sometimes you're just, you're under the gun from every direction, your kids, your job, your marriage, all of that stuff. So you can't handle but so much. But somebody who is, I don't know, kid-free, they got a job they love, not a whole lot of life stress, like they can handle a whole lot more. So it's just realizing where you're at and what you can handle in that moment is an important thing.
Yep. So big picture, big takeaway is reframe your expectation. Don't let fatigue sell. Don't chase that sensation.
No.
Reframe. Again, especially if you fall into the camp, you have to be honest with yourself. Are your goals, things like getting out of pain, losing body fat, having more energy,
being more able?
Yeah, being more physically capable, reducing stress. Then yes, again, the endless fatigue, exhaustion type workout is not it's not helping.
So if you come across a gym or a program or a trainer where the major sell is like this is really hard or how tired you're going to be, then I would move on. I would find something else. Find somebody where like resistance training is a priority, your recovery's taken into account, because those are really kind of your biggest things.
Yep. Yeah.
So, avoid the avoid the high intensity
loop.
Yeah,
of where we go hard, all out, or you start chasing that sensation and that fatigue, and then you just need more and more, and you just
at a certain point you can't get more.
Yeah, and you're just digging a deeper hole. And again, it feels productive.
It does
because you're getting tired, but you're literally not. You're deeper hole.
And then I think a good question to ask is this benefiting me in the long run?
Mm-hmm.
Is this
a
short-term gratification or a long-term gratification?
Yeah.
And if it's just short-term every single day, you're probably not helping yourself over time. Like, you're not helping yourself towards your goal. So it's, again, being honest with yourself. Like, do I really need this to get to whatever my goals are?
Yeah. And if you are going to lean that way, then everything else needs to be on point and more of a priority.
So your sleep
are
needs
you getting,
to be a priority.
Yeah. Are you getting 8 hours of sleep? Are you reducing stress in other times? Are you nailing your nutrition, counting calories, nailing macros, getting your protein, micronutrients, high quality foods? Are you prioritizing all those things? Because that should be like the baseline if then you're going to train
hard
and lean towards a default of a much higher state, of fatigue that you're reaching in your workouts.
Yeah, and we know like all that stuff, maintaining all that is hard, which is why it's just for most people not sustainable. So, checking on the important things.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully it's our
PSA for the day.
PSA. Just a message that, we kind of bash you over the head with, but it's
people
important.
Need to hear it, man.
And remember, we're in this business. We are in the business of clients succeeding. Like, we only tell people what we think
will help them succeed.
Them succeed the most. Like,
that's it. Like, we don't want to tell people what they want to hear. That's actually, quite often the opposite of what they need to hear versus what they want to hear. We're in this to help people, not just make transactions.
Yeah, someone random was talking to them, and they find out what you do, and then they have questions, start talking, and ultimately, they wanted to lose weight, and kept defaulting to you have. It's going to come down to nutrition, and you can tell people don't want to hear that, and they just hope and. There's got to be something else. It's got to be something. Let me work out harder. And it's like, look, I want everyone to succeed. If it was something else, I would gladly tell them that.
We would tell you, man.
The only reason I would default there so soon is because, that's how important it is for that goal and that thing. And it's almost just like you can see it in people's eyes where, and I probably do it with certain stuff, stuff out, where maybe I am looking for a quick fix and you don't want it to be the harder
the thing
way.
You're avoiding.
But it's you. So you have to realize that it's not to be contrarian. It's literally at this point, 17 years of doing this, seeing hundreds and thousands of people, and where most people's roadblocks and obstacles are, and then saying, hey, let's get the message out. That helps the most with where people run into issues. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's where we come from.
Yep. All right. Well, stew on that. Let us know.
Somebody took something from that. Stew on it. Chew on it a little bit and see how you feel about it.
All right. Well, we thank you for listening.
We'll catch you next time. As always, thanks for listening, guys. If you want to learn more, check us out at coastalfitnessva.com or garydeagle.com. We'll see you next time.